Welcome to Education Without Borders. In this lesson, we want to ask ourselves, when you hear the phrase, walking the talk, what does that mean? And this is an expression that is normally given a lot of times by people in leadership, our parents, our teachers, and people in authority. And they keep reminding us, walking the talk. But when you say walking the talk, what this specifically means is that whatever it is that you talk about, it is very easy to talk, but it's a little more difficult to walk along the path or the direction that you are giving. For example, if I say and tell my students, you should actually not be using mobile phones in the examination room. What that means is that I should also, as a teacher, be setting an example of not doing negative things that are not aligned to what the student expects. So, in other words, whatever I am trying to correct the student, I should also be an example. I should mirror whatever it is that I talk about. So let us zoom into students. The students are normally in different courses. We have students who are studying engineering, medicine, chemistry, physics, biology, performing arts. We also have students who are in social sciences, studying literature, languages, and so on and so forth. So I want, as a student, to put yourself in the position where you are asked, walk the talk also as a student. Because remember, wherever you are, there will always be other people below you, subordinates, people below you, or younger students. If you are a final year student, there could be fresh students who are just joining. So, for example, very soon we'll be welcoming first year students in tertiary institutions of higher learning, and they will be looking up to the older students. The first thing I would want, if I put myself back, I roll back, and I went back to my first year, a fresher in college, what would I be looking up to as far as my seniors are concerned? The general behavior, the demeanor, how do they relate with their teachers? How do they relate with their lecturers? How about their rooms? How do they behave in their rooms? How do they treat the people who work, who clean their rooms? When they go out in the evening and come back very excited, do they knock off the window panes? Do they vandalize even the washrooms, even the sinks, the taps, the flushing handles? Do they vandalize? When we say walk the talk, if you are a senior student waiting to graduate and go out and become a responsible professional, how is you are walking the talk? How do you treat even the space that you live in? How do you treat the walls? Do you write all manner of things on your walls? And you expect to walk into an office and you are given a responsibility and to deliver properly with that training of messing up wherever you stay. Walking the talk means that you start training yourself to be an elite, a professional, right from where you are. It doesn't matter the culture that you may have found yourself in. We are moving into the space where Now we are going to employ AI agents to get information for us, the room that you were last in, the state it was in before you walked in and after you walked out. How did you leave it? The space you walked in, and we could give marks for that. If I was an employer, the first thing I would want to find out now in this day and age is, how was your behavior even as a student? In Education Without Borders, we want to educate without any borders. We want to be able to go back even to the school days, the college days, your behavior. How did you communicate? Maybe you are even a student leader. How did you lead your other students? Because this will reflect on how you become when you go into industry. Remember, the life you have in industry is much longer than the 3, 4, 5 years you will be in a tertiary education institution. This is Education Without Borders, and these are tips I'm giving for moving forward. Artificial intelligence will be able to tell us how were you behaving for the last 5 years in your academic, not just the scripts, but even socially. How are you socially? Because work environment is integrated with social behavior. How did you interact? How are you able to solve problems? How are you able to relate with your fellow students? I think it's very important to get these tips, because they will now be able to separate you from those who will be looked at in more detail and those who will be dismissed technically at the entry point. This is Education Without Borders. It's a high time we learned to walk the talk. And we are now moving into the era of AI. Artificial intelligence will be having apps that help us to look at the past, and we shall be using images of whose data. We have data of, for example, who stayed in this room, how was the room before they moved in, how was the room after 1 semester or 2 semesters, how was it left. This is Education Without Borders, trying to help our students to become elite right from year 1 through year 2, year 3, year 4, up to the final year. And experience has shown that the years in between, maybe second, third, to the year just before the final, usually that's where attention is not paid too much on our social behavior. This is Education Without Borders. I hope, my fellow students, we have learned a tip, 1 or 2 tips on integrating social behavior with our professional line. Thank you for watching, for following, for sharing, and even for walking the talk. We shall be back with more insights.